Hello, family. I want to talk about Adam and Eve today. And a lot of people don't know this answer to this question. So I had to research the question that I also had. What happened to Adam and Eve's clothes that Elohim made for them? Now, we know how the story went as Adam and Eve were told by Elohim not to eat out of the garden. He told them not to eat of the tree of knowledge. But the serpent had talked to Eve and enticed her to eat of the fruit, and she also gave the fruit to Adam. Now, the Bible is not clear on what fruit that they ate. I know that we were all taught that the fruit was an apple. That's the reason why throughout centuries and generations, we always see apple with Adam and Eve. And ironically, we're also seeing the product of apple, where in the back of the phones, in the back of the iPads, the apple is bitten into. But that's for another story. But I want to talk about what happened to Adam and Eve's clothes that Elohim made for them. Now it says out of the 3rd chapter, verse 21, it says, "Unto Adam also and to his woman did Yahuwah Elohim make coats of skins, and he clothed them." And the reason why he clothed them is because Adam and Eve recognized that they were both naked. Their eyes opened up. Now they had sinned against God. And as God had said to them before, once you eat of the tree of knowledge, you should surely die. But as we read on through Genesis, Elohim did not kill them. He actually gave them a curse. That Adam must work the fields and the land, and Eve will have, when she has a child, it will be painful, and she will be over the serpent, and the serpent will be slithering down on his stomach. And that's a whole nother story, because I will talk about the serpent wasn't doing that before. The serpent was actually standing and walking on 2 legs at the very beginning. But this story is about what happened to Adam and Eve's clothes. I'm going to go out of the book of Jasher, chapter 7, and I'm going to start at verse 23, and I'm going to read to verse 32. I'm going to tell you what happened to Adam and Eve's clothes that Elohim made for them. So next time someone ever asks you that, or you want to share this story, this is the reference of that's what happened. Now it says in verse 23, "And Cush the son of Shem, the son of Noah, took a woman in those days in his old age, and she bore a son, and they called his name Nimrod, saying, At that time the sons of men again began to rebel and transgress against Elohim. And the child grew up, and his father loved him exceedingly, for he was the son of his old age." "And the garments of skin which Elohim made for Adam and his woman when they went out of the garden were given to Cush. For after the death of Adam and his woman, the garments were given to Enoch, the son of Yered. And when Enoch was taken up to Elohim, he gave them to Methuselah, his son. And at the death of Methuselah, Noah took them and brought them to the ark. And they were with him until he went out of the ark." Verse 27, "And in their going out, Ham, one of his sons, stole those garments from Noah, his father, and he took them and hid them from his brothers. And when Ham begat his firstborn Cush, he gave him the garments in secret, and they were with Cush many days. And Cush also concealed them from his sons and brothers. And when Cush had begotten Nimrod, he gave him those garments through his love for him. And Nimrod grew up, and when he was 20 years old, he put on those garments that his father gave him. And Nimrod became strong, and when he put on the garments, and Elohim gave him might and strength, and he was a mighty hunter in the earth. Yea, he was a mighty hunter in the field. And he hunted the animals, and he built altars, and he offered upon them the animals before Yahuwah. And Nimrod strengthened himself, and he rose up from amongst his brethren, and he fought the battles of his brethren against all their enemies round about. And Yahuwah delivered all the enemies of his brethren in his hands, and Elohim prospered him from time to time in his battles, and he reigned upon the earth. Now we know what happened. There was a lineage, there was exchange. It was stolen from Noah. So one of Noah's sons, I believe it was his middle son, Ham. Now Ham is the father of the Africans. That's who Ham is. The father of Africans, not the Negroes, not the Hebrews. Shem is through the lineage of the Hebrews, which is scattered throughout the world, which is the Black Americans. But Ham, which is through his genealogy, he stole it from his father. He stole the garments that was passed down through generation to generation to Noah. And he didn't even give Noah an opportunity to give those clothes that Elohim made for Adam and Eve. And I believe probably Noah was going to give it to Shem through the bloodline, which is through Yahuwah. Now we know a little bit about Nimrod, and we're going to talk about that later on. But Nimrod was a great hunter. And we also know that he became a king, and that he was the king of Babylon, where the towers of Babel were being built. That's a whole nother story. But the story is that it's interesting that the clothes that Adam and Eve that were made by Elohim had a lot of strength. You know, it says again in verse 30, and Nimrod became strong when he put on the garments, and Elohim gave him might and strength, and he was mighty hunter in the earth. Yes, he was a mighty hunter in the field, and he hunted the animals, and he built altars, and he offered upon them the animals before Yahuwah. So he had the knowledge of who Yahuwah was through his generation of his father and his grandfather, his great-grandfather, and especially through Enoch. So if you didn't know what happened to the clothes of Adam and Eve, now you know. And it's interesting that God gave him the power, gave him might and strength. Even though the clothes were stolen, God will still look beyond what you have done in sin, and he will still give you power, and he will still give you strength. He will still watch over you. He will still protect you. He will still cover you with his love, because that's who our Father is. He is a Father of love. So have a blessed day.